pledge allegiance to you, our ideas. I know we can do anything, become something a little better. This afternoon, you're gonna see our friends and family changing the world, surviving, thriving. One hallelujah. One hallelujah.
Who am I when I am alone? You need me, don't leave me. When no one is near and nothing is here to be fulfilled. You need me, don't leave me. Am I freer or are the chains that hold me back fused together with my body, mind, and heart? Who am I when I am alone? Am I freer? Who am I? You'll never be free, at least not from me. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Memories are like a box of yarn, passed down from generation to generation, locked away until you slowly unravel each spool to weave into something new, something beautiful, something glorious. But these are not your standard spools of yarn. You'll mistake each string of thread with the thorns of a rose bush. Thread by thread, thread by thread, you bleed and bruise until you can no longer. Thread by thread, bloody bruised, my fingers pruned. Thread by thread, tick-tock, the bandage will work just fine. Thread by thread, I worry it will be no da-da-da. Even if it leads to clarity, shall I leave the tangled mess of familiarity for the tangled mess of growth? I am left with spools and spools and spools of yarn to unravel, and I'm angry. I am angrily fighting battles inflicted on me by infected hearts and minds, and it's painful. It's never ending. I've never been one to believe that violence creates peace. Winning does not mean destroying you. Instead, let's learn to coexist us two. If I destroy you, I destroy myself. Learn, live, coexist, and relinquish the power you hold over me. Learn, live, coexist, and relinquish the power you hold over me. Learn, live, coexist, and relinquish the power you hold over me. Learn, live, coexist, and relinquish. They tease us by dangling hope in front of our weary eyes until it gets close enough for us to touch it, but then it disappears and that hope becomes a veil thinly draped over darkness. For the longest time, I thought you were the reason for that darkness. That's what they want. They want us to fight because they know we are both strong enough to weaken each other. But after years of fighting, I realized your purpose is far from malicious. You follow me like a guardian angel because you do not trust the world around me. But you forget your love is so stifling. And as I grow, my armor grows thicker, my garden grows larger, my heart grows heavier, and the darkness grows into a rainbow. Instead of fighting you, I will nourish you, I will accept you, and I will love you. We will unravel this yarn together. For every spool of yarn we challenge, beauty is born.
I'm about to go on. But right before I go on, I can feel the fear. All the voices that have told me not to be here. I'm too brown. I'm too fat. I'm too queer. But I wasn't taught this fear. But I know this. I recognize the voice. I recognize the breath. This person is not someone I recognize. I wasn't raised this way. I wasn't afraid. Well, I guess I was. I was afraid of a dog once. And it was my grandmother's dog, and every Sunday we went to her house after church. And this dog terrorized me. I mean, he was the most terrible dog you could ever imagine. He could smell when I was coming. He could smell my fear. And he would bark and snarl at me, and I could see his teeth, and it was the most terrifying thing, and I could feel it. I'd be driving up to my grandmother's house, and I could feel my chest tightening, my body going tense, and I'd hide behind my dad until they put him up. But one day, my dad said, no. Ningún hijo mío le va a tener miedo a ese perrito. Which, I probably should tell you, this was a toy miniature poodle. Yeah, but he was terrifying. And I remember walking in, and my dad says, you're going to put your foot down, and you're going to show him that you are in charge. And I was like, I don't think I can do that. And he's like, I'll show you, and he demonstrated, and I was like, I wasn't even watching, because the whole time I was thinking, what am I going to do? And he says, and if you need to scream, you scream. And as the dog made his round around the island in the kitchen to come back around to attack me, I summoned all the courage I had in me and let out the queerest scream that I could summon. And he got scared of me. I was like, oh, I did that. That came out of me. I was a little bit older, and I worked on a farm. I'm from Texas, and it's a farm. And we had cows. And after mating season, we have to separate the cows and the bulls. And they don't like that for obvious reasons. And so there was this bull and this cow that stuck together. And when they did that, they would travel the corral. So if anybody doesn't know, we corral them. It makes it easier for us to separate them because it's smaller. And they're going around, and I was put reluctantly on the gate that let the cows go through. And they gave me a lasso, and I had my body. And usually if you wave, they're like, oh no, not here. And so they go the other way. And so I was like, oh. They turn around, they're together still. And then the cow takes a little bit of a lead, and I'm like, all right, this is where I get out of the way. And I let her through. And the bull tries to follow. He speeds up a little bit, and I jump in front. And he turns off, and he goes around. But then he looks back at me with a look of, I'm going to follow my girl. And I'm standing there, and I'm deciding whether I should hold my ground or jump. And he gets closer, 6 feet, 4 feet. And at that point, I'm like, I think I'm going to die. And I had the lasso in my hand, and he's coming right at me, and his face I can hear his breath, the pounding of his feet. 2,000 pounds they weigh. Against, at that point, 150. Hard to believe, but 150. And he gets closer to me, and the thing that comes out of me is this energy. And I take this lasso, and I bring it right down on his face. And he turns, and he runs away. I did that. 2,000-pound animal, 130. 150. I keep bringing it down. I think I was wishing. But I did that. I didn't think about it. I just did it. And then here I am, afraid. And I'm thinking about my grandparents. And I'm thinking about the hate they endured. I'm thinking about their broken bodies and what they did to get me here. And I have the audacity to be scared. So I'm going to suck it up, and I'm going to get up there.
Mother, please. Mother, please.
Planet Earth about to be recycled. Your only chance to evacuate.
Allow this to be done and allow us to get by with it? And children, it's just something to put to the rest. Oh, God. Mother, please. Mother, please. Mother, please. Mother, please. Some people are sure these children after the relaxation of suffocating in its brain. They set an example for others. We expect 1,000 people who say we don't like the way the world is. Take our life from us. We laid it down. We got tired. Believing in suicide, we can enact a revolutionary suicide protesting the conditions of an inhumane world.
I'd like to share with you some of my family, and we just thought we'd kind of break the ice and allow people to see just exactly, what kind of people we have here. I'd like to start off first of all with my oldest son. His name is Cyrus. Come sit over here, son. How old are you? 7. Say hello to everybody. Oh, you got him. Camera right there.
ATF, you boys are wrong. If there's any question whatsoever, the kids or women are involved, damn you, I tell you why you keep your damn gun at your holster. You're gonna argue with me, you catch me on the side of the road somewhere, you come and argue with me. You come point guns in the direction of my wife and my kids, I'll meet you at the door anytime. I'm sorry some of you guys got shot. But, hey, God will have to sort that out, man.
suicide is in an act of revolutionary suicide protesting the conditions of an inhumane world.
I'm a fool to want you, such a fool to want you. Who? You. Oh, yes, I'm your April Fool full time. I'm a fool for you fellas, plural. Forlorn and forsaken. Why do fools fall out of love? You can't fool me. Oh, well, you can, but you wouldn't, would you? And you could, but you won't. Now, will you? I forget far too frequently. Fool me once, my bad. Fool me twice, what? For we are forced together. Overwintered, we find ourselves frozen out of February, finally finished. We march melancholic and fall frigid into April. But the winter ain't leaving. It was only vamping. It was only vamping. It was only vamping for the next vortex. What kind of fool am I? Well, if you have to ask after all this time. My foolish heart, my more foolish head, my foolish preference for falling for a combination thereof, far too frequently and far too far gone, once again, full fathom 5, my foolishness lies. Lays. Lies? Lies. Falsities and inadequacies feather the waves of your indifference, not waving, not even looking back. Is it ignorance, impatience, or otherwise, or simply too simple for your own good? Ah, pity the fool, finding myself fatuous, feeble-minded, falling apart and putting us back together. Oh, the futility. Why do you treat me like such a fool? Somebody fooled my fool, which makes me this somebody's fool. But no, not you, never you. You are too fixed on forward to fall for that foolishness, leaving me fond and falling over backwards. These foolish things remind me of you? Fooled you again. Don't fire me, you fool. Out of luck, I'm fucked. I was only fooling. Is that my heart in your hand, or are you phoning it in? Again. I fooled around and fell in love. I fooled around and fell in love. You didn't mean it when you said it because you said it on April 1st. That may have been yesterday, the day when we slapped the truth silly, since it's the truth that always fools us. It's the truth which any which way trips us up into the fall you take whenever you open your big mouth, honey. That gaping hole of how did you ever think I would buy this bullshit? I made this for you. I made this especially for you. Here in the lab of our love. You were made for me. I made me for you. Fond fool that I be, making you my entire history. You fool. You flirt. You fill me with your hurt and whack me like a piñata full of pine cones, but they come down on your head, leaving your heart in a prickly position. Old fool, you find me flat-footed, fouled and folding at the finish line, singing that same old song sort of flat. Off tune, out of time, can't leap the interval gap. Oh, say, can you, could you, will you see, you could do way worse than me. Happy anniversary, April Fool.
Hi. Can everyone hear me okay without a microphone? Yes. Amazing. My name is Laura Metcalf, and I just wanted to acknowledge that the piece I'm about to play was not written by me, but by a wonderful composer who is here in the audience tonight, Danielle Eva Schwab. It's called Reflections on Francis Bacon. And if any of you are familiar with the art of Francis Bacon, it is very, very intense. A lot of it's very dark. And she wrote this really astounding work in two parts that kind of run together. The first part is dark, expressive, and violent, and then it goes into a very soft, hypnotic meditation. So this is Reflections on Francis Bacon by Danielle Schwab. Woo!
For emergency surgery. 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 So when I got up, I stood up. Your mom was asleep on the other sofa. I walked around a little bit, and the pain started to intensify. So I kind of, grabbed her foot to wake her up. I said, hey, I'm having this pain, and I don't know what it is. I said, maybe it's gas, but I'm not sure. So I took a Tylenol and an aspirin. And the Tylenol kind of, subsided the pain a little bit, but not much. And then your mom started to, kind of like beat me on the back as if she was burping me. Mm-hmm. They're trying to move, see if the gas will move. So we walked around doing that for about 15, 20 minutes. And the pain wasn't getting any better. So she kept asking me what I want to do. I want to go to the hospital. I want to go. So I said, well, hey, let's go up here to the fire station. Maybe they can take my blood pressure and see if something's going on. So we got in the car, got ready to do that. drove up to the fire station. She got out, went to the door. Nobody was there, so that evidently they was out on a call. So then she got back in the car, and she asked me, what do I want to do? If I want to go to the hospital, go to a doctor, or what? So I told her, I said, well, let's go to Kaiser. Kaiser Urgent Care is probably about 35, 40 minutes away from my home. So we bypassed probably a minimum of 2 hospitals, I know, going to Kaiser Urgent Care.
Why Kaiser?
It's an insurance study. Just a regular hospital, you gotta wait on Kaiser doctors to actually give the okay to work on it.
Being confined to the bed because I didn't know what was going on. And having the nurses come in and poking me, that was the worst. Every few hours they were poking me, taking blood samples. All in my fingers, all in my hand, all in my elbow, in the middle of my arm. That was the worst. Then they coming in taking x-ray, chest x-rays. And you have to sit up, and they put this big wooden board behind your back that feel like a rock. And then they take the x-ray, and then they go back out. And then you have the nurse come in and to somewhat give you a bath because of the dressing, make sure that when they did the cut and the stitching, make sure you don't get infected, so you have to wash it. I'm glad God brought me through it, allowed me to see another day. It make you appreciate life. Knowing that I'm here and I could have been gone, saying live life to the fullest. Don't put off today for tomorrow. Do everything you can while you're here, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, that's the word of God. You know, he said, don't worry about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Worry about today.
I'm Memphis Houseworth. This is my lovely wife, Patrina Houseworth.
And we are celebrating today and thankful for today for my life and God's grace upon my life. I had open heart surgery. And God spared my life. According to the rare condition that it is, it's 3% out of 100,000 people that have it. And He spared me. So I'm thankful.
And those of you that are continuing to stand on God's promises for your healing,
Yes.
do know that God is in the miracle working business, and He is continuing to heal.
And He is a miracle worker.
And we are so grateful that we've experienced it even more so firsthand this year.
I found you at the end of my journey. The beginning of yours. My sails were taut as I packed for the south, and you had only just settled north. I was ready to leave, but my heart was fastened to you. Holm It's been 7 months since that late night of wine and wandering. And I know your heart's been wandering too. You're missing home now, without me to hold your hand. In between you and home, the sea, in between us, mountains, desert, but you will always have a home across the water by so many names. And I will always always have a home in you. Sea Games. Your heart aches for me across the desert, and you long to be across the water someday. If I couldn't lay your ancestors' ashes scattered across that same ocean, bones sunk to the bottom in auspicious request at deliverance, an ocean for them to cross into heaven, an ocean for you to cross into home, and you so far from me, my home. Kukitumba, and I am missing you.
steady.
Oh.
The beat pattern.
Okay.
A little bit.
In 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let's try.
That'd be very helpful.
I promise I'm a real conductor, despite what you just saw. And I'm a conductor that likes to keep a journal, like to keep track of my memories, you know. How did I get here? As I look back through my old entries, there's so much curiosity and wonder and excitement in the pages. And drive. So much commitment to this that I even wrote at one point, I'll never have kids because I need the practice time. And as I look back through my journal, I'm remembering the first lessons that I had to learn, which is about trust. Clearly, there was no trust there, and I was blaming them for a lot of it, right? So we have to go back to this foundation of trust. It's the foundation of every healthy relationship. And as the conductor, maybe there's 4 people or 90 people in front of me. That's a lot of trust to build. So let's see what happens when there's more. Trust each other. There's so much we can try, and so much we can explore together. Now, the next lessons that I had to learn was conducting persona. I was so shy and nervous and awkward when I started as a conductor, and my mentor really didn't like that. He's like, you need to be charismatic, tough. You need to be an animal on the podium. So his way of doing that was to kind of break you down. So he'd yell at you, he'd mock you, he'd make people cry. But I took it all. I took it all because I trusted that he would get me to where I wanted to go. And plus, it's not like he had crossed the line like some of my previous teachers. He was never creepy or inappropriate until he was. I remember that day, I was standing on the podium wondering, what are we going to work on today? Maybe it's the way I hold the baton. Maybe it's getting my left hand to be more expressive. Maybe it's my posture, my tempo choices, my musical choices. How do I speak to the orchestra? Any number of things that are fair game. So what did he choose to talk about that day? My breasts. In front of a whole room of people. And I remember just feeling so seen. And I felt that everyone was looking at me the way that he was. And I felt shame, as if I had done something wrong. And at first I was just confused, like, what does this have to do with conducting? And then I was embarrassed. And then I just felt this rage and betrayal. Because this was someone who I put up with so much because I thought his intentions were with me. And it just put everything into question. And the trust was irrevocably shattered. And because of that, my trust in the whole conducting industry itself started to crumble. Because is that what a conductor is? Is that what I must become? Malicious, cruel, demeaning, insulting, inappropriate? And I had the hardest summer of my life because I felt I can't do that. I don't want to be that. But I don't know if there's another way. And so the journal entries change. And they start to say, I don't want to try anymore. I'm sick of crying. I don't know who I am, but I don't like myself now. And so I struggled to find a path forward, but at the same time, I knew that music was not worth abandoning. Music didn't deserve that. Music is guiltless in this whole thing. Music needs us. It doesn't exist until we give it life. And so I didn't know the way, but I thought, okay, let's give it another shot. And I got back on the podium, and I decided, let me just make these moments of connection, you know? Let me just have one moment with each musician in the room, and that's all it has to be. And suddenly, these moments of human connection just added up, and they grew, and they became so meaningful and deep and profound. And it could be as simple as an emotional look at the cellist before they give you their beautiful solo, or the little cheeky grin you give the clarinet player, and you say, you're about to rock this. And the trust that you show your concertmaster as you telepathically say, what should we fix? And the excitement and the energy as you look at the brass and percussion in the concert and you say, let her rip. And I remembered the magic of conducting, that there is nothing in the world like it. Nothing in the world where you can connect on such a deeply personal level and experience millions of human emotions and experiences a second, frankly. And that's all it had to be. And that's all I know right now. I know that we can just make it about that and make it about the music. Because the music cannot be together if we're not together. And the music sounds better, it feels better. There's an obvious difference when it has these layers of honesty and emotion and truth. The music does not need us to be defeated. It just needs trust.
When you say I am, what does it mean? Am I the body sitting on the chair? Am I the thought that wonder what's happening on the stage? Am I feelings or emotions? Here, I am only a collection of muscles and bones rolling across the stage. It doesn't contain any information, any culture, any social or cultural conventions. My body doesn't contain anything. Does it? Hey, what's up, y'alls? How's it going? I'm sorry, wrong code. Good evening. I'm so glad to hear you and see you. Hi, Cecilia. I love you. Excuse me, fake code. I am. When we say I am, we put a lot of labels. I am Dean. Something happening with my microphone. I am dancer. I am a second-year graduate student at Arizona State University. I am this culture. I am that religion. I am those politics. And here I'm exploring how my body reacts to different external circumstances, changing language, behavior, to comfort others for fair treatment, or maybe to survive. And how my body and mind changes while creating этим изменением. И эти изменения влияют на то, как происходит. Does that make sense? On n'est pas sérieux quand on donne 17 ans. Un beau soir, faune de boc, haute de la limonade. Des cafés tapageurs los 13 ans. On va se la tielle. Vers de la promenade. La tielle sang debout. Dans le bus soit de joie. L'air est parfois si doux qu'on ferme la paupière. Les vents chargés de bris. La ville n'est pas loin. Et de parfums de vigne. Et de parfums de bien. I am. It's not only my body. Body is changing over years. Muscles grow. Bones are aging. I am. It's not my emotions. It's not my feelings, my ideas or thoughts. Flow of them come and go. But there is something inside. Always remains the same. One might say consciousness, awareness, maybe subconsciousness, or maybe spirit or soul. It doesn't matter how you name it. The question is, are you connected to your essence or have you lost it while code switching? «17 лет, серьезность не к лицу. И как-то вечером оставьте свои полные бокалы и шумные кафе, и свет слепящих люстр. Под липами пора гулять настал. Июньскими ночами так дышится легко, и все вокруг безумно так красиво. Гул города доносится, ведь он недалеко. Приносит ветер запах виноградников и пива.
Hello, right. Can we give them another hand? Melina, please give a hand. Lane. Jeff. Kara. Alicia. Julio-Cesar. Colin. Addison. Melanie. Dean. Laura. Earl. John. I'm Daniel. How are you feeling? Great. Yes. This is our post-performance discussion now. This is when you get a chance to ask questions, offer comments. You can be curious, but be cool. A lot of vulnerability on the stage, right? And I have some questions, but I know them, so I can ask them whenever I want. I'm really, it's a little hot, Garth, a little hot. First, I wanted to say, please give also a hand to National Sawdust as an institution, right? Garth, Bruce, Mariel, Carrie, and of course, always Paolo Prestini, always Paolo Prestini. Yes, always, always. Okay. I was really moved. I'm witness to it. There were things that we did in rehearsal that didn't happen on stage, and there were things that happened on stage today that never happened in rehearsal. So I'm just amazed, I'm just amazed. In my own teaching, I don't use the word teacher or students, it's always contributors. We're all contributors to a classroom, a community, and a world of ideas. And I just want to maybe very quickly take you through a little bit of the rigor. On our stage, he's going to be mad that I'm doing this, true. On our stage is an esteemed emeritus professor who recently co-taught this lab with me, and that's Jeff McMahon. Hey, Jeff. And in our audience is another ASU professor, Dr. Joanna Taylor. Joanna, can you, yes? Good. Here with, I believe, 9 contributors in the CECL program, which is amazing. And we also have some contributors from the New School here in New York City, who are, yeah, I know, I see you. Yes. I've done a lot of work at different institutions, and it's been great. So, without further ado, what questions, comments, what are you curious about for anyone on our stage? What is resonating in your memory? What's stuck? And I think we have another, we have a microphone we have another microphone, yeah? So, yes, please.
Hi, everyone. Fantastic job. I'm really curious about your rehearsal process and what these last maybe weeks, months, years have been for each of you or some of you that want to respond.
Yes?
Sure. Hi. So I am one of those, this never happened in rehearsal kind of people. Yeah. So it's kind of, it's really free in a lot of senses that, the projects are entirely our own. We bring in an idea and we kind of chip away at it week after week. And we also, as we're doing that, we're focusing on like all the skills as an artist you need. And so we're learning about all these administrative things. And so we run it, we learn from each other, we learn from DBR, and we just kind of woodshed. And I think what I've really appreciated about this process for me is DBR always asks the questions that are so deep that kind of get right to the point of like, why are you doing this? And it just kind of is something that grows and grows.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for that. I spent a lot of time working with Bill T. Jones, a lot of time in the dance community. Yes. I've worked with a lot of different conductors as well, like Marin Oslop, who also asks those kind of very kind of profound and earth-shattering questions. So that's to pass that on. Great question, yes. Other thoughts, comments? Yes. Why don't you say it and I'll repeat it? Is that cool? Although I love your voice, so I'm going to come out here. It's so much better. Is that okay, Garth?
For the woman who did the dance performance based on the healthcare crisis, could you just describe a little bit more about where that was, who was it, and we know the outcome, thank you, and what is your relationship to that person?
Just 1 second. May I want to acknowledge that. Well, no, go ahead, sorry.
So that person was my father, and he's in the building.
Do you mind standing up?
So it happened in September of last year, which was pretty sudden. And just like he was telling the story in the voice recording, it took us all by a surprise. And so while in this class, I had to go home for 2 weeks to help out with my family and to be there for him in that process. And there were a lot of things being said about his condition and about what happened. All in all, God really allowed us to just to come together and bond and just to be there for one another in this circumstance. So I really just wanted to tell his story about his personal trauma and his experience, but also what I took from it, because going to the hospital every day for 2 weeks straight was very draining, and being there from sunup to sundown was a lot for myself, and I know it was a lot for my mom and my sister as well. And so I just really wanted to let this piece be a commemoration of him coming home, but also to talk about how sometimes healthcare can be a little bit challenging, and we should find other ways of providing care for those who are really in need, because our outcome was great. Not a lot of people's outcomes come out that way. So that was my story. Yeah, thank you.
I would just like to say, great job, everyone. During the season that my husband was going through, he had an actual aorta dissection that actually ruptured. And I got a chance to be in your class because Alicia actually was online during class. And I got a chance to see some of your performances and your collaboration and listen to you all. And it was quite touching hearing you all as adult students and grown people speaking from a political perspective as well as from your own emotional events in your own life, and how you all collabed and talked, and it was just very inspiring. So I'm an educator myself, so I was greatly appreciative to seeing your artwork, and I just wanted to, he's a 1%er. He wasn't supposed to make it to the door, nor to the car, nor to the fire station, nor to the to the hospital. And the beauty of it all was Kaiser, it's not a bad insurance. However, there are, different loops that you have to go through. And there were only two cars in the parking lot that night when we got there, when normally it's full of cars. And we entered in and they were able to assist him pretty immediately. So I just know that the Lord's hand was upon his life. And so we're grateful for that. But the main thing I wanted to say is, again, awesome job, everyone. He's not the spotlight. We're not the spotlight. We're just glad to be here and enjoy this season. As she said before, enjoy every moment that God gives you, because we can't get it back. So enjoy every moment.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you. The young man here in the all black who danced and talked about the concept of the body and the self, You said something. You said, "Are you connected to your essence, or have you lost it?" Code switching, and I want to hear more about that. As a black man that works as a professional in orchestras, that really resonated with me. So I would love to have a dialogue about that.
The whole piece was about exploring what is my body and how my body reacts to different environmental circumstances, etc. It's not necessary. So for me personally, it's a code switching. It's more general. It's more about adapting to specific cultural environment, coming from another country, and trying to adjust here in the United States. It's like a little bit complicated for me. The process was very complicated, and I was exploring how my body and mind reacts and what kind of game I'm playing with the society to get fair treatment, as I said, and maybe to adjust to be yours. Hey, yeah, it's a very complicated topic. Yeah,
I can relate with that. Same though, and exactly. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Yes, yes. Oh, this table. All right.
Good to see you too. You know, the new school, we have to bring a question in. You know what I mean? This is my credit for class. You know, just. I can get 100. I can get like plus 100, right? I can get like a plus. Perfect. Okay, thank you. Anyway, sorry. Phenomenal job. Congratulations. I hope that this feels like a culmination of something really, really immense and really personal, and I hope you feel as successful as I can imagine, because it was. It was a triumph, and I'm feeling like pride, and I hope that because I feel like I know how much vulnerability was there. There was so much just sort of shared on this stage tonight, and I wanted to talk to you guys about, like, you know, I feel like in a lot of artistic spaces there's so much passion and so much drive and a lot of ego in some cases, and I think that I really felt like I didn't see any competitiveness between your performances, and like, what was it like to sort of foster and cultivate that space, and how much sort of what did that take? And I know that Daniel does a lot to foster that in a like an academic space, but there has to be a lot of work on your end too.
I think like culture of a music school and of a dance and theater and everything school comes from above, the middle, and like the grass. And I feel like ASU is really cool in the fact that like it's set up like a conservatory for all of the arts, but I've never once felt like anybody is unkind or competitive in like a hurtful or harmful way. And when I looked for graduate schools, I auditioned all over the country, and this is where I landed, and I couldn't be more grateful. But then at the same time, like these actual people in the class, like it's just Tuesday nights, and all of us are like wildly busy, and like I don't go to church, so like this year coming to graduate school, these people became like my church like once a week, you know what I mean? Like simply because they show up like exhausted enough to be vulnerable, because we all are that. And like the very first day, his exercise was create a show in, was it everybody contributes 1 minute? Yeah. And you got, I think, 1 minute to make it happen, and right away. And then, okay, what would happen if it was 2 minutes? What would happen if it was 5? And that was like day one. And so truly, like from the people in the class, the people who design the classes, and the culture of the school overall, I think creates this kind of one-of-a-kind vulnerability.
Yeah, one-of-a-kind vulnerability. We're going to have to wrap up soon. We have time for a few more questions. We're going to go here, and then we'll come over here. Yes?
I think so many times in the arts, the different art forms, disciplines are compartmentalized. And I felt that, you know, so many of you crossed over from one discipline to another and made it feel very organic. And I credit Daniel and the team that led this lab because it's so unusual, and yet the level of each discipline was so high. There were never moments as an audience member when it was like I tuned out and thought, well, this isn't so good. Everything was so good. And congratulations.
Oh, thank you for that. I want to acknowledge, Earl. Oh, go ahead. Give Earl on that electric violin. Right? Yes. Earl and I used to be in a group called DBR and the Mission, and Earl is an incredible world-class musician. John Weber. I know, I'm getting there. John Weber on viola. Yep. Yep. And it's so great because we haven't actually played with one another in probably over 10 years. And of course, the great Laura Metcalf, who's been in Sybarite 5 and 8th Blackbird and done all these amazing things. Incredible soloist. So these are part of our, what we call guest artists who come and are on the stage with someone like a quote-unquote second-year student, like the great Addison right there, right? Addison, Addison, I want to acknowledge Addison, yes. And Melanie Holm, oh man, Melanie Holm, want to give it, yes. Who was in the lab, but the pandemic prevented us from being on this stage. So Melanie was able to come back and be on this stage. Okay. Question here. Yes?
Yes, hello. How does this kind of work? Oh, I have a question not for you, Laura, but for your composer. Where is your composer? Oh, great. Okay. Well, yeah, maybe you can. I said when you finished playing, I said to my friends here, I said, "Oh, that's rather tame." And Murphy was like, "That's rude. Don't say that." But I think what I meant was that it's a contained piece. It's like watching if you put like a butterfly inside of a jar or something, you're watching it fly around in a contained space. And so I would have loved to ask your composer, who has left now, what connection is made between the art of Mr. Bacon, which is very angular but also very soft at the same time, in a really strong juxtaposition, and art that is music that is contained in this way, that is controlled in playing. That's my question. Where's the connection between this piece and this kind of art? Where does it lie?
This is I didn't actually mention this. This is part of 3 self-portraits, each one about a different artist. So what she was really trying to do, I think one of the pieces was, if I'm not mistaken, for flute, and one was for piano, and it was 3 different artists, and kind of taking the art from the wall and putting it into sound. And the first part is that sort of angular intensity, and then the second part that I played was the sort of, like you said, the softness. And I think she was trying to kind of get that juxtaposition, but I can pass on your question to her and let you know the answer.
I did want to acknowledge Lane. Give a hand to Lane, please. So Lane is an incredible artist, dancer, choreographer, but coming into this semester, Lane wanted to help in terms of the administration of the lab. And I'm telling you, quite literally, we would not be here were it not for Lane, who was under the tutelage of Melina Gross, who's from the beginning, Melina has been managing the lab. And we're also partnering with Joanna Taylor. Tomorrow, the 9 contributors from the CECL program at ASU are going to visit, Cecil, right? I know, yeah. Our creative enterprise and cultural leadership. Give them a hand, they're right here, yes. We are going to be visiting New York Live Arts, the home of Bill T. Jones and Dance Theater Workshop, for an exclusive 2-hour journey into that space. But Lane, what was this like for you, literally toggling between being an artist and an administrator?
It was like herding cats. It was a wonderful experience, I actually have a full-time job in education. I teach high school, actually, as well as getting my master's degree. So I'm a busy little person. But then I wanted more time to kind of reflect on the art that I was going to present, and so I made a suggestion that I considered being part of the arts management team to help run the rehearsals, run the practices, be part of the stage management team, write grants we actually managed to get $12,000 for all 7 of our contributors to come.
So that was something that was a lot of fun because, you know, the deadlines come up all of a sudden and then they're like, yeah, you got 4 days to write the grant proposals. And I'm like, cool. That's going to be so much fun. But no, DBR is absolutely legendary in his craft. He is an amazing educator. He has done so much for all 7 of us in his own way, ways that we probably would not be able to be as creative as artists as we are without his guidance, his leadership, and his wisdom. So I would like all of us to give a round of applause to DBR.
Well, I'll leave it here. Thank you for coming. If you want to support the lab, just get online and just comment. You were witness to something. And just get online and comment. If you have additional questions, I know we can't get to them all. We will answer, I will answer, any of the contributors will answer. We're gonna do kind of a reception next door if you wanna hang out, which would be cool. And we're gonna linger in the hallway as well. I just wanna say this to you because I really do feel like I'm with family and you mentioned it. On 2013, April 22nd at 1:07 p.m., my father transitioned and his heart completed its journey. So for me, seeing those images were stirring. As my good Haitian mother would often remind me, when you get a spotlight, spread it out to others, right? And I just wanted to say that, you know, as a Haitian person, you know, my father's right there, very gregarious person. But I do think that I'm thinking a lot about life and forgiveness and what is our responsibilities, not as first responders, but as third, fourth. I think that as artists, we can't be activists, but we can also be very empathetic and loving. And I think that I look at this stage and I feel so profoundly moved by every single person on this stage that has their own journey and their own story. And that is very life affirming. So I am so glad that you're here. And I don't know if you caught it in the very beginning of my preamble. I talked about one hallelujah. One hallelujah. One hallelujah. Thank you. May the universe be with you, and we will see you.